Have you ever felt powerless when trying to explain something to someone only for your words to vanish into thin air? Or have you ever wondered, why do some people keep making the same mistakes? No matter how much you try to help them, they refuse to change. Today, we'll uncover 6 signs of a foolish person, rooted in the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy from Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus. This video will not only help you identify these traits in others, but also hold up a mirror to yourself, breaking free from outdated patterns of thinking and propelling you toward growth and wisdom. But pause for a moment. Foolishness is not a condemnation. It's a state we can overcome if we are humble and courageous enough. Because, as the Stoics teach us, what stands in the way becomes the way. Obstacles, failures, and even everyday conflicts are opportunities to learn. So, how can we identify and avoid foolishness, both in others' behaviors and our own? Stay with me, because the lessons in this video will not only help you understand those around you, but also open doors to wisdom and freedom. If you find topics like this meaningful, don't forget to hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and join us for more content that enlightens the mind and helps you live a more purposeful life. Now, let me ask you, are you open to new ways of thinking? Or do you sometimes find yourself stuck in your own stubbornness? That's the very first sign we'll explore, a closed mind, the greatest enemy of wisdom. Are you ready to listen and embrace change? Let's find out together. Sign 1, a closed mind, the greatest enemy of wisdom. Have you ever found yourself in a conversation where no matter how clear or logical your arguments were, the other person simply wouldn't budge? It's as if their mind was locked behind an impenetrable door, unwilling to consider even the possibility of being wrong. If that sounds familiar, you've witnessed the first and perhaps most dangerous sign of ignorance, a closed mind. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, once wrote in his Meditations, "If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake, I will gladly change." This statement is not just a testament to humility, it is the foundation of true wisdom. A closed mind, however, operates in the opposite way. It refuses to entertain new ideas or accept correction. Why? Because admitting fault feels like a loss of control, a blow to the ego. But the truth is, a closed mind doesn't protect you. It imprisons you. It builds walls of fear. Fear of change, fear of being wrong, and fear of looking foolish. Imagine this. You're in a car speeding toward a cliff. Someone points out the danger, but you refuse to listen because admitting they're right means acknowledging your mistake. That's what a closed mind does. It accelerates us toward failure, blinding us to the possibility of a better path. The Stoics believed that wisdom begins with self-awareness. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Often, our resistance to change stems from imagined fears, fear that admitting we're wrong will make us look weak or incapable. In reality, the willingness to change is a sign of immense strength. Take a moment to reflect. When was the last time you allowed someone to challenge your beliefs without becoming defensive? How often do you listen to others with the intent to understand rather than to respond? If these questions make you uncomfortable, don't worry. Discomfort is the first step toward growth. Let me share a personal experience. Years ago, I worked with a colleague who was brilliant in many ways, but completely unwilling to consider new methods. Despite overwhelming evidence that our outdated systems were inefficient, they clung to the old ways, claiming, "It's how we've always done it." Their refusal to adapt cost us countless hours of extra work and missed opportunities for improvement. It was frustrating, but it also forced me to confront my own biases. Was I, too, clinging to old habits simply because they felt familiar? That realization was a turning point for me, and it might be for you too. Here's the good news. A closed mind is not a permanent state. It's a habit, and habits can be changed. The first step is recognizing the walls you've built around your thinking. Ask yourself, are there beliefs I've held on to for too long without questioning them? Do I dismiss new ideas simply because they're uncomfortable or unfamiliar? The Stoics suggest simple but powerful practices to cultivate an open mind. 1. Seek diverse perspectives. Read books, Watch videos or engage in conversations with people who think differently than you. 2. Pause before reacting. When someone challenges your beliefs, resist the urge to defend. Instead, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? 3. Embrace the unknown. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that what stands in the way becomes the way. The discomfort of admitting you're wrong might be the very path to greater wisdom. Having an open mind is not just about intellectual growth, it's about unlocking new opportunities in every aspect of life. Whether it's improving relationships, excelling at work, or simply understanding yourself better, the ability to question and adapt is key. Think about it. How many chances have you missed because you were too stubborn to see things differently? What could change if you allowed yourself to listen more and judge less? Now, I want to hear from you. In the comments, share a time when you or someone you know held onto a belief too tightly. What was the outcome? Did it lead to growth or regret? Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more insights like these. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a chance to challenge your thinking and grow your wisdom. While a closed mind is a powerful obstacle to growth, it's not the only one. In the next part of this video, we'll explore another subtle but equally destructive sign of ignorance, the tendency to blame others. How often do we point fingers, avoiding the mirror? Stay tuned, because the lessons ahead might just change how you see yourself and the world. Are you ready to continue this journey toward greater clarity and wisdom? Let's dive deeper. Sign 2. The blame game, avoiding responsibility and stalling growth. Have you ever caught yourself saying, "It's not my fault"? Or perhaps you've seen someone shift the blame for their failures onto others, co-workers, circumstances, even fate itself. This tendency, while deceptively comforting, is one of the clearest signs of ignorance and stagnation. Let's face it, blaming others is easy, but it robs us of the chance to grow. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, said it best: "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." The ignorant person, however, does not view difficulties as opportunities for growth. Instead, they deflect accountability, shielding themselves from discomfort at the expense of wisdom. When you blame others, you deny yourself the chance to reflect on your actions, identify your mistakes, and make meaningful changes. Think of it like this: if every failure is someone else's fault, how can you ever improve? You're essentially handing over your power to external factors. Imagine standing in front of a mirror, covered in dirt. Instead of cleaning yourself, you point at the mirror and complain about the reflection. That's exactly what blaming others does. It misplaces focus and prevents us from addressing the real issue. The Stoics believed that true strength lies in owning your actions. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not external events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Taking responsibility doesn't mean wallowing in guilt or self-pity. It means embracing the opportunity to learn from every mistake and using that knowledge to become better. Let me share a moment from my own life. Years ago, I missed an important deadline at work. My initial reaction? I blamed my team for not providing the information I needed. But, deep down, I knew the truth. I hadn't communicated my needs clearly, nor had I managed my time well. The turning point came when I stopped pointing fingers and asked myself, what could I have done differently? That simple shift in perspective transformed not only that situation, but also how I approach challenges in the future. By taking ownership, I gained clarity and control over my growth. What about you? Can you think of a time when blaming others held you back? What might have changed if you had taken responsibility instead? Blaming others often stems from fear. Fear of judgment, failure, or even the effort required to change. It's a defense mechanism to protect our ego, but this protection comes at a cost. Missed opportunities. When you don't own your mistakes, you miss the chance to learn and improve. Damaged relationships. Constantly blaming others erodes trust and respect. Stagnation. Without self-reflection, personal growth becomes impossible. Breaking the cycle of blame requires intentional effort and self-awareness. Here's how the Stoics suggest we can move past it. 1. Pause and reflect. Before pointing fingers, ask yourself, what role did I play in this outcome? Reflection creates space for honesty and growth. 2. Embrace. Failure. Seneca taught that failure is not the enemy, it's a teacher. Instead of fearing mistakes, view them as stepping stones to success. 3. Focus on solutions. Blaming others keeps you stuck in the past. Redirect your energy toward finding solutions and making improvements. 4. Own your power. Every time you take responsibility, you reclaim your power. Remember, growth happens when you control what you can, your actions and reactions. The next time something goes wrong, try this. Write down the situation and what went wrong. List your initial thoughts. Were you tempted to blame someone else? Identify what you could have done differently. This exercise might feel uncomfortable at first, but it's a powerful tool for building self-awareness and breaking free from the blame cycle. Taking responsibility is not just about becoming a better person, it's about unlocking your potential. When you stop blaming others, you gain clarity, improve relationships, and take charge of your growth. Imagine how much more you could achieve if you redirected the energy spent on blame into self-improvement instead. Now, ask yourself, how often do I blame others for my struggles? What would change if I focused on what I can control instead? I'd love to hear your thoughts. In the comments, share a moment when you stopped blaming others and took responsibility instead. What did you learn from that experience? If this insight resonates with you, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Let's continue exploring wisdom and personal growth together. Blaming others might shield us temporarily from discomfort, but it keeps us trapped in ignorance. In the next segment, we'll dive into another harmful behavior: rejecting the truth. Why do we often resist facts that challenge our beliefs, and how can we embrace the truth for greater wisdom? Are you ready to face the truth no matter how uncomfortable it might be? Let's continue this journey together. Sign 3. Rejecting the truth. The comforting illusion that holds us back. Have you ever come across someone who refuses to accept undeniable facts, clinging instead to their own version of reality? Or perhaps you've caught yourself avoiding a difficult truth because facing it felt too overwhelming. This tendency to reject the truth, while temporarily comforting, is a subtle yet powerful sign of ignorance that can keep us trapped in a cycle of stagnation. Why rejecting the truth is so destructive? Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, once wrote, "If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake, I will gladly change." This mindset of embracing truth, no matter how uncomfortable, is what sets the wise apart from the foolish. Rejecting the truth, on the other hand, acts as a form of self-sabotage. It creates a false sense of security, protecting us from the short-term discomfort of reality, but at the cost of long-term growth. Imagine walking toward a cliff with your eyes closed. Denying the danger doesn't make the cliff disappear. It only ensures you'll fall. The Stoics remind us that truth is not our enemy. In fact, it's the foundation for growth, clarity, and inner peace. By rejecting it, we build a life on illusions that will inevitably crumble. Why do we reject the truth? The answer often lies in fear. Fear of change. Accepting the truth often requires us to leave our comfort zone. Fear of being wrong. Admitting we're wrong feels like a threat to our self-image. Fear of loss. Facing reality may mean letting go of beliefs, relationships, or habits that no longer serve us. However, these fears are often exaggerated. As Seneca observed, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." The pain of facing the truth is fleeting, but the rewards are enduring. Let me share a personal experience. I once worked on a project that was failing. The evidence was clear: deadlines were missed, results were below expectations, and the team's morale was low. Yet I convinced myself that things would magically improve if we just kept going. It wasn't until a mentor pointed out the obvious that I was forced to confront reality. The project wasn't failing because of external factors, It was failing because I refused to adapt my approach. Facing that truth was painful, but it also allowed me to make the necessary changes to turn things around. What about you? Is there a truth in your life that you've been avoiding? How might facing it change things for the better? Rejecting the truth doesn't just delay progress, it often amplifies the problems we're trying to ignore. Consider these examples. A person in denial about their health might avoid a doctor's visit only to face more severe issues later. A professional ignoring feedback might miss opportunities for growth and improvement. A relationship built on ignored truths might crumble under the weight of unresolved issues. The longer we avoid the truth, the harder it becomes to correct course. The Stoics viewed truth as a guide, not a threat. Here are their key lessons for embracing truth. 1. Seek clarity over comfort. Marcus Aurelius advised, "You have power over your mind, not external events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Facing the truth starts with a decision to prioritize understanding over ease. 2. Practice self-awareness. Ask yourself regularly, am I being honest with myself? Journaling can be a powerful tool for uncovering truths you might be avoiding. 3. Welcome feedback. Epictetus reminded us, "It is impossible to learn what you think you already know." Surround yourself with people who challenge you constructively and be open to their perspectives. 4. Accept impermanence. Many truths are difficult because they involve loss or change. The Stoics taught us to embrace life's transient nature, seeing it not as a loss, but as a natural progression. Steps to face. Uncomfortable truths. Facing the truth can be daunting, but it's a skill that improves with practice. Here's how to start. Pause and reflect. When you feel resistance, ask yourself why. What are you afraid of losing or confronting? Take small steps. You don't have to tackle everything at once. Start by addressing smaller truths to build your resilience. Focus on growth. Remind yourself that every truth you face is a step toward becoming wiser and stronger. Rejecting the truth might provide temporary relief, but it's a dead end. By embracing truth, no matter how uncomfortable, you gain clarity, make better decisions, and unlock your potential. Imagine the freedom of living without the weight of denial. What could you achieve? Now ask yourself, is there a truth in my life I've been avoiding? What's holding me back from facing it? How might my life improve if I embraced reality instead of resisting it? What's a truth you've recently faced that changed your perspective? Share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear how embracing reality has helped you grow. Don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications for more lessons like this. Together, we'll explore the wisdom that leads to a stronger, more meaningful life. Transition to the next sign. While rejecting the truth can hold us back, there's another sign of ignorance that's equally harmful: boasting without self-improvement. Why do some people prioritize appearances over substance, and how can we avoid falling into that trap? Let's dive into this next important lesson. Are you ready to uncover more about the path to wisdom? Stay tuned. Sign 4. Boasting without self-improvement. The hollow pursuit of appearances. Have you ever met someone who talks endlessly about their achievements but has little to show for it? Or perhaps someone who spends more energy maintaining an image than actually building their skills or character? This behavior, boasting without self-improvement, is a clear sign of ignorance. It's like planting a tree but focusing only on how its shadow looks, ignoring whether its roots are growing strong. Stoics, believed in substance over appearance. Epictetus famously said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." This teaching reflects the core of self-mastery. Actions speak louder than words. Boasting is a mask, often worn by those who lack true confidence or accomplishment. Instead of focusing on growth, they seek external validation, hoping that the approval of others will fill the void left by their lack of genuine progress. But the truth is, boasting only highlights insecurity. When you boast without the foundation of self-improvement, you risk exposing the gap between what you claim to be and what you truly are. Why do people boast? Often, it's a response to fear. Fear of inadequacy. They're afraid of being seen as less than. Fear of being overlooked. They want to ensure they're noticed. even if it's for superficial reasons. Fear of failure. Instead of focusing on improvement, they inflate their image to hide their flaws. However, this short-term strategy backfires in the long run. True respect and admiration come from authenticity and growth, not from hollow words. Let me share a moment of reflection from my own life. Early in my career, I was eager to prove myself. I found myself exaggerating my contributions to projects, hoping to impress colleagues. But when deeper questions arose, I realized my lack of preparation had left me exposed. It was humbling, but it was also a turning point. I decided to stop seeking shortcuts to validation and started focusing on truly mastering my craft. Over time, the respect I sought came naturally, not because of what I claimed, but because of the results I delivered. Have you ever found yourself prioritizing appearances over real progress? What did you learn from that experience? Boasting without self-improvement comes at a high cost. 1. Damaged credibility. When people realize your words don't match your actions, trust erodes. 2. Stagnation. Focusing on appearances distracts you from meaningful growth. 3. Shallow relationships. Connections built on pretense lack depth and longevity. Imagine building a house with a beautiful exterior but a weak foundation. Sooner or later, it collapses, and so does the image we build through boasting. The Stoics emphasize the value of action and humility. Here's how we can learn from their wisdom. 1. Prioritize personal growth over external validation. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Instead of seeking approval, focus on becoming the person you aspire to be." 2. Let your actions speak. True accomplishment doesn't need to be announced. Results will always speak louder than words. 3. Practice humility. Seneca warned against arrogance, reminding us that humility paves the way for continuous learning. When you admit you don't know everything, you open the door to growth. 5. Reflect regularly. Take time to evaluate your actions. Are you doing the work to back up your words? Journaling can help you stay honest with yourself. Steps to replace boasting with genuine growth. 1. Set clear goals. Focus on measurable progress rather than external approval. 2. Celebrate quiet wins. Acknowledge your progress privately. It's not about showing off, it's about staying motivated. 3. Seek constructive feedback. Surround yourself with people who challenge you to improve, not those who simply applaud. Boasting might bring temporary recognition, but it's hollow without substance. True growth, on the other hand, is lasting and fulfilling. Imagine how much more confident and respected you'd feel if your accomplishments spoke for themselves. Now ask yourself, do my words align with my actions? Am I focusing more on how I appear or who I truly am? I want to hear your thoughts. Share a moment when you realized the importance of focusing on real growth instead of appearances. What did that shift teach you? If this resonates with you, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Together, let's build a life of genuine growth and wisdom. While boasting highlights insecurity, there's another sign of ignorance that's equally detrimental: the inability to control emotions. Why do we let our feelings dictate our actions, and how can Stoic practices help us master our emotions? Let's explore this next powerful lesson. Are you ready to gain control over your emotions and unlock your full potential? Stay tuned. Sign 5. Losing control of emotions. When feelings take over your actions, have you ever lashed out in anger or made a rash decision only to regret it moments later? Or perhaps you've seen someone let their emotions spiral out of control, wreaking havoc on their relationships and reputation. Losing control of emotions isn't just a sign of ignorance, it's a barrier to personal growth, self-respect, and the respect of others. The Stoics believed that true strength lies in mastering one's emotions, not suppressing them. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When you lose control of your emotions, you surrender that power. Your actions become dictated by fleeting feelings rather than thoughtful intention. This can lead to broken relationships, poor decisions, and a sense of chaos within yourself. Emotions are natural and necessary, but they are meant to be guides, not rulers. Imagine driving a car where the steering wheel is controlled by a gust of wind. That's what it feels like to be ruled by emotions. Losing control of your emotions often has ripple effects. 1. Damaged relationships. Words spoken in anger or frustration can leave lasting scars. 2. Poor decision-making. Rash actions taken in the heat of the moment rarely lead to good outcomes. 3. Loss of respect. Both self-respect and the respect of others diminish when emotions take over. Consider this. How many opportunities have been lost, or how many bridges burned because of a moment of unchecked emotion? The Stoics didn't advocate for ignoring emotions, they encourage understanding and regulating them. Here are some key Stoic teachings. 1. Pause and reflect. When emotions rise, pause. Marcus Aurelius suggested, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Instead of reacting impulsively, take a moment to think before you act. 2. Separate perception from reality. Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Often, our emotional reactions are fueled by how we perceive a situation, not the situation itself. 3. Focus on what you can control. Epictetus taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." By focusing on your response rather than the trigger, you regain control. Let me share a time when I let my emotions get the better of me. I was in a meeting and a colleague made a comment that I perceived as criticism of my work. I felt anger rising and immediately snapped back, defending myself in front of the entire team. Later, I realized their comment wasn't meant to criticize. It was a genuine suggestion for improvement. My emotional outburst not only embarrassed me, but also strained my relationship with that colleague. That experience taught me the importance of pausing before reacting. Now, when I feel emotions rising, I remind myself, what would a Stoic do in this situation? What about you? Have you ever let your emotions dictate your actions only to regret it later? Here are practical steps inspired by Stoic philosophy to help you regain control. 1. Practice the pause. When you feel an emotional surge, count to 10, take deep breaths, or step away from the situation. This gives your rational mind time to catch up. 2. Reframe the situation. Ask yourself, is this as bad as it seems? Often, shifting your perspective reduces the intensity of your emotions. 3. Focus on your values. Before reacting, consider, does this action align with the person I want to be? Let your values guide your response, not your emotions. 4. Reflect daily. At the end of each day, review moments when emotions took over. What triggered them? How could you respond better next time? Mastering your emotions isn't about suppressing them. It's about understanding them and using them constructively. Imagine how much more confident and respected you'd feel if you could remain calm and composed, even in challenging situations. Ask yourself, how often do I let my emotions dictate my actions? What would change if I paused and reflected before reacting? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share a moment when you managed to control your emotions in a difficult situation. What difference did it make? If this resonates with you, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Let's continue exploring Stoic wisdom and personal growth together. While losing control of emotions can harm our personal growth, there's another habit that often goes unnoticed but is equally detrimental: repeating the same mistakes. Why do we find ourselves trapped in the same cycles, and how can we break free? Let's dive into this next important lesson. Are you ready to stop repeating your mistakes and start making real progress? Stay tuned. Sign 6. Repeating the same mistakes. Breaking free from the cycle of stagnation. Have you ever found yourself asking, why does this keep happening to me? Or perhaps you've seen someone repeatedly make the same poor choices, despite knowing the outcome. Repeating the same mistakes isn't just frustrating, it's a sign of ignorance, a failure to reflect, and a refusal to grow. But here's the good news. Breaking free from this cycle is not only possible, but also transformative. The Stoics believed that wisdom comes from reflection and change. Marcus Aurelius wrote, The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. But when we fail to reflect, we remain blind to the lessons life is offering us. There are three main reasons why we repeat mistakes. 1. Lack of self-awareness. We don't take the time to analyze our actions and understand the patterns that lead to failure. 2. Comfort in familiarity. Even harmful habits feel safe because they're known. Change, on the other hand, feels risky. 3. Avoidance of responsibility. Blaming external factors keeps us from confronting the role we play in our setbacks. Repeating mistakes has consequences that go beyond immediate frustration. Lost opportunities. Each repeated failure delays progress and growth. Damaged confidence. Consistently failing in the same way makes us doubt our ability to improve. Strained relationships. Patterns of poor choices often hurt those around us, not just ourselves. Imagine walking through a forest and tripping over the same route every time. Instead of noticing the route and stepping around it, you blame the forest for being difficult to navigate. Over time, you stop walking altogether, convinced that the problem is unsolvable. The Stoics teach us that mistakes are not the problem. Refusing to learn from them is. Seneca said, Mike, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Each mistake is an opportunity to reset, reflect, and grow. Steps to break the cycle. 1. Pause and reflect. When you make a mistake, resist the urge to move on too quickly. Ask yourself, oh, what led to this outcome? Oh, what could I have done differently? 2. Identify patterns. Look for recurring themes in your mistakes. Are you ignoring red flags in relationships? Procrastinating on important tasks? Understanding your patterns is the first step to breaking them. 3. Take responsibility. Epictetus taught, we cannot control what happens, but we can control how we respond. Owning your mistakes gives you the power to change. 4. Set new intentions. Use your reflections to create actionable goals. If a lack of planning caused a past failure, commit to better organization moving forward. Let me share a personal story. There was a time in my life when I consistently overcommitted to projects, convinced I could handle everything on my plate. Each time, I ended up overwhelmed and delivering subpar results. For years, I blamed external factors, tight deadlines, uncooperative team members, unexpected challenges. But one day I paused and reflected. The common denominator was me. I wasn't setting realistic boundaries or managing my time effectively. That realization was painful, but liberating. I began saying no to projects I couldn't handle and allocating my energy more wisely. Since then, my work has improved, and so has my peace of mind. What about you? Is there a mistake you find yourself repeating? What might change if you paused to reflect on it? Breaking free from repetitive mistakes isn't just about avoiding frustration, it's about reclaiming your potential. Every mistake you learn from becomes a stepping stone to growth. Imagine how much progress you could make if you stopped tripping over the same obstacles and started navigating your path with clarity and confidence. Each evening, take 5 minutes to reflect on your day. 1. Write down one mistake you made. 2. Identify what led to it. 3. Commit to one action you'll take tomorrow to avoid repeating it. This practice turns reflection into a habit, helping you stay mindful and intentional. Now, I want to hear from you in the comments. Share a mistake you've learned from and how it changed your perspective. Your story could inspire someone else to break free from their own cycle. If you found value in this lesson, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Let's continue exploring Stoic wisdom and practical tools for growth together. Repeating mistakes keeps us stuck, but reflection and intentional change set us free. As we near the end of this journey, let's tie together all 6 signs of ignorance we've explored and focus on how to transform these lessons into lasting wisdom. Are you ready to embrace growth and leave ignorance behind? Let's bring it all together in the next part. As we wrap up this journey through the 6 signs of ignorance, let's remember, growth begins with awareness. Recognizing these behaviors, whether in ourselves or others, is the first step toward transformation. Ignorance isn't a life sentence. It's an opportunity to change, to reflect, and to rise stronger. The wisdom of the Stoics reminds us that life's challenges aren't obstacles, they're pathways. Marcus Aurelius taught us, "What stands in the way becomes the way." By embracing these lessons, we can navigate life with clarity, purpose, and resilience. I invite you to reflect on what you've learned today. Which of these signs resonated most with you? Have you seen them in your life? And what steps will you take to grow? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories and insights. If this video inspired you, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications. By joining our community, you'll never miss another step on your journey to wisdom and personal growth. Share this video with friends who might need these lessons too. Together, we can grow stronger. Your growth starts here. Are you ready to take the next step? Let's keep learning, sharing, and becoming the best versions of ourselves. See you in the next video.